Welcome to the Writer's Hour, where we have creative conversations with up-and-coming authors on their latest books. This is the place to be if you wish to get a preview of new books that are available for the voracious bibliophile, as well as the story behind the story for the voyeur who wishes a peek behind the creative curtain. Here's your host, Janine Bolon.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. I'm Janine Bolon, and we're going to discuss how to write a book in a year. This is a plan that I came up with myself, trying to get into a mode where I was cranking out one book a year because the writing process was so enjoyable for me. It didn't always start off that way. I have to admit that when I was much younger, writing was a chore. And it wasn't until I started allowing myself to create what I wanted, when I wanted, that I started to understand I was actually pretty good at this thing called writing. But believe it or not, I had been writing for 5 years before that really clicked into place for me. Originally, I was writing. I was a mom. I had 4 children. They were all under the ages of 10. And I just wanted to let you know I was writing because of my master's thesis. I had to create a master's thesis. And my wonderful mentor at the time turned to me and said, Janine, you've got to write this into a book. This thesis cannot sit on a library shelf in the university library. And I went, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Because back then, self-publishing was called vanity publishing. This is back in 2005. And life is not what it is today, I should say. So what you do is you start focusing on the book that you want to write. Now, how do you do this in a year? The reason I give you a year is because you have several habits that you need to start creating if you want to accomplish your task. And the first one is this: realize that there are people out there that want to hear what you have to write. Now, you're going to have a lot of head trash that tries to tell you differently. So you just keep listening to this episode or several other episodes of the Writer's Hour, and you be inspired by others, and you keep writing. I don't care what your head trash says. Don't use it as an excuse. I want you to find a way to write a book a year. And when you put yourself in the mindset of writing a book a year, it's amazing what ends up happening to your goal setting and your targeting for yourself. So we're lucky. It's easy to do because if you give yourself a full year to do something, then you can start creating a plan. So step 1 is create a plan. Now, what are you going to do each month? And one of the things I do, and I know this is very old school for some people, but I print off the 12 months. And I have one of those big, calendars. And if you happen to have a free calendar you were given or something, use that. But I tear out all the pages, and I don't know, it just helps me to line up all 12 months on my floor, because then I get a better idea of what I'm doing that year. And then write down the stuff you know that's going to happen to you that year. If you're in school or you're a graduate student or you're a professional or you're working for a living, you know that there are holidays and stuff around that. And start building your writing around those holidays, around those times when you have ability to kind of relax. The other thing is break out what you're going to focus on each month. And what I encourage you to do is give yourself the last 4 months of the year to not be writing, but actually creating the book from your writing. But relax, calm down. Basically what this is you're going to go ahead and give yourself 9 months to write the book, and you need those last 4 months of whatever your year is to actually do the process of building the book itself. So for the first several months, decide when you're going to actually write. And I encourage that you get into the habit of writing every day. And what I mean by that is you set up a schedule where you're writing at least 5 times a week. Like, get yourself into the habit. Or there are times during your weekend that you're going to write, but set a schedule and then stick to that schedule. I don't care if you're sitting in front of your computer and your hands are hovering the keyboard and all you're writing is the song lyrics that come into your head. There have been times where I've been so stuck in the sense of I didn't have writer's block. It's just I knew where I wanted to go with my writing and I couldn't seem to get it unstuck. So I would do these warm-up exercises. Warm-up exercises are where you take songs, and one was like the Itsy Bitsy Spider, another one was Old MacDonald Had a Farm. I would write out the lyrics to those songs, just desperately trying to get words to flow in the direction I wanted to go. And what was fascinating is after writing 1 or 2 pages of total trash where I'm writing song lyrics, and I'm just talking about how I hate writing and I've never been any good at this. And I'm just venting and ranting. What's funny is after a period of time, the logjam releases, and then I'm on a roll and I can write for 3 hours straight. And it is amazing how you get into the habit of doing stuff like that. So that's what we're really forming here, is the habit. So break down your year into those separate months and then create your schedule of writing. Then the most important thing to do to get your book written in a year is get support. Now, whether you join a writer's group online or you talk to a friend, and this is actually something that I do, is my friend and I, we meet on Zoom, and we meet every day and we write. And during that time of writing on Zoom, we're not talking to each other. I mean, the first 4 or 5 minutes we may chat with each other, but we're really there to write. We both have that very intense focus of writing. And what we ended up doing was we would set for ourselves an hour. And so we would meet at 6:30 in the morning, and we would write until 7:30 in the morning. And during that period of time, we wouldn't talk. We'd say good morning. We'd have our cup of coffee. And she started this little tradition of, she goes, all right, we'd hold up our coffee cups together on Zoom, and she goes, salute. And we would just start. That's just this little silly thing we started. And that's what we do. And so I encourage you to find a friend. Now, if that doesn't work for you because you don't know anybody in your world that is also a writer, then I would recommend that you find one online, or better yet, you're welcome to join my writers group. Now, mine is a paid plan. Okay. You can go to JanineBolon.com/book a year and just smash it all together. Book a year, just write all that together. The reason I charge $37 a month, it is amazing how once people have to start paying to write with us, they actually move forward with their book. And so I also teach while I do that. So we meet twice a month. And during that period of time, I lay out the plan for the year, and we all start working on our plan of how are you doing on your book? How is it working? What's happening with you? And I've held other people have held me accountable like I've held other people accountable. It's been a very good group. And what's fascinating about that is people are getting traction in ways they never have. So if you're like, Janine, I can't afford $37 a month, then I recommend the next best thing is that you go to NaNoWriMo.org. And the way that is spelled is NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. And it's NaNoWriMo, so NaNoWriMo.org. And they have a National Novel Writing Month. It's every November. And the idea is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And this is the program that inspired my daughter to start writing. And once my daughter started writing, she saw how she was a very good fictional writer. And so she and I would attend these events, and pretty soon I got very involved with the organization. It's doing great work. And so this is a community online that can help you. One of the things I encourage you, though, is you need to have somebody that can literally hold you accountable to your writing. If you know you're going to have an appointment with that person Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning, that is much more effective than just trying to force yourself with self-discipline. Does that make sense? So it's very important to get support. This is the biggest thing about writing, though. Whenever you are in a creative process of any kind, whether it's writing, sculpting, painting, it doesn't matter. If you are in the creative process, believe it or not, it's very solitary. Please realize most of the greatest musicians, most of the greatest creatives that we have had did it in a solitary environment, because that's where you actually hear your inspiration. Now we've become so social with so many of the different aspects of modern life. There are new ways of being able to collaborate in new and exciting ways. But the challenge of trying to collaborate before you've learned your own style is this: you'll swamp out your own inner voice. And so it's very important that you get very good at your own style, writing what you write, being good at what you do before you start collaborating with others. So that's why I encourage people, write your own story. And I've had some people say to me, but my life is so boring. I can't imagine anything more boring than writing about my life. And that's when I turn to them and say, but my dear friend, I don't know anyone else in my life who I have daily conversations with that was #1 arm wrestling champion when they were in high school. You know, you were #1 in the state. There, yeah, but that's just one-time thing. I said, there's several things in your life that are different. I was even talking to a person who was a college coach he just said, there's all these other coaches that run their book. What am I going to be able to offer? And it's fascinating to me how quickly a person will discount themselves and their life. And I just want to share with you that what you have to offer, no one else on this planet has that perspective. And that's why it's so important that you write your story. And if you want some help with that, reach out to all these different groups that I've talked about. And if that isn't going to give you traction, then go ahead and sign up for my program. But the most point is, I really want you to start writing your story. It's imperative. There is a reader out there who will be inspired by what you write, and you will help solve a situation for them through your writing. Okay, have a great day. Sit down at the keyboard and just start writing. Schedule it today for yourself. How long are you going to write for? If you want, just start with 30 minutes. If you want, just start with 20 minutes. But make sure you sit down at your keyboard every day and type. All right, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Writer's Hour. To hear more about the creative conversations that Janine Bolon is sharing with her listeners, please visit JanineBolon.com/guest.